angels waging war in the unseen realm. Global events fulfilling biblical prophecy. Eternal life. What lies beyond mortality? From analyzing the paranormal from a biblical worldview to the discussion of cutting-edge science and technology, conspiracy, discovery, special investigative reports. Unafraid to explore the challenging issues facing humanity. Welcome to another edition of Skywatch TV. Special Investigative Report.
We've now reached a point in human history where a candidate for the office of President of the United States is actually campaigning on the platform of voting for him so you'll live forever. This is Skywatch TV. I'm Derek Gilbert. This is a special report we're calling Genetic Armageddon, how science is fundamentally transforming what it means to be human in this world. It coincides with the release of the documentary film INHUMAN from Skywatch TV and Defender Films. In studio with me are the two principals actually in the film, Skywatch TV President Tom Horn and our science advisor Sharon K. Gilbert. Welcome.
Thank you.
Transhumanism. I had the opportunity to speak to a college course, advanced technology course at Eastern Illinois University several months ago. Students from all over the world whose degree was going to be in advanced global technology, emerging technologies. And of the 30 that I talked to, only 2 of them had even heard the term transhuman. What does the word mean? So we can have this conversation with our viewers. What does it mean?
Yeah, well, by the way, great to be here with Derek and Sharon Gilbert, 2 of my favorite people in the world, and to talk about this product, INHUMAN. You know, this has been a 5-year product. How in the world I ever wound up involved in this is a story all by itself that they'll learn, I guess, when they watch the film, because I sure don't have no degrees in science, right? But I did. I wound up in this circle. Here I am, and people will go on that journey in the movie INHUMAN, but they'll also find out why I reached out to Sharon, who has degrees in biology, and said, help!
Yeah.
You know?
And find out why my father said to me more than once, son, you married up.
Yeah, I've heard you say that a few times. I think you're right too, Derek. We both did. But yeah, and you started this program talking about this candidate for U.S. president, Zoltan.
Zoltan Ishvan.
Zoltan. And, you know, he emailed me while we were producing this film because he wanted to be part of the documentary too. And we were too far into the interviews to be able to do that. But yeah, the subject, transhumanism. Now you said that, you know, what did you say? Only 2 out of
30 in this class, in a class called Global Technology, and this was a graduate level course.
Yeah, knew what the term even stood for.
Right.
But we've learned that if you were to walk into a church and say, tell me what transhumanism is, it's just pretty much dumb silence.
Yeah.
And yet, the level of importance and the ways in which this philosophy as a replacement religious idea, but also its sense of how we're going to use technology in the future to change what God made.
Yeah.
All of creation is already either being altered, genetically modified foods. You've done some shows already where you had Joe Artis and Donna Howell in here talking about how the GMOs are also a part of the food products that animals are eating. It's changing their DNA.
Yes.
It's rewriting creation,
yes.
Right? But we also know that at the embryonic level, we're doing experiments with human-animal chimeras. Some of these scientists have hinted that some of their rogue friends are already raising these to full maturity. So this implies that there could even be islands of Dr. Moreau, and all the way, you know, the Academy of Medical Sciences out of Britain. So this is a prestigious body saying that literally thousands of animals containing human material are in laboratories now being tested. So the genie is out of the bottle, but the next step is what Zoltan is running for a U.S. president to try to promote, and that is we also are going to start changing humankind. We're going to fix and repair. We're going to extend our lifespans. We're going to use technology, and the military is getting involved with this too.
Very much so, and this is nothing more than repackaged eugenics. If that's a familiar term to you, it's because something that Hitler did. But guess what? It started here in the United States, in Indiana, California, New York, Cold Spring Harbor, at Stanford, at IU. There were a lot of professors back at the turn of the 20th century who believed, scientists who were well respected, who believed that certain types of individuals were a drain on society, and in order to make mankind more robust, stronger, try to achieve that godhood that was promised in Genesis by the Nakash, by the enemy of mankind, that you shall be as gods. This was a dream that Hitler just borrowed from the United States.
Right, and the eugenics,
we're calling it transhumanism.
Yes, it's eugenics with a science fiction gloss.
Yeah.
It never really went away, but
No.
of course it got a bad reputation after what the Nazis did in the 1930s and 1940s. But today, in fact, Mr. Istvan, who's running for president on the Transhumanist Party ticket, has already published an article, which has been out on the internet for months now, calling for a restriction on breeding, human breeding.
Sure.
Because it is perceived by some in this movement that in order to guarantee the long-term survival of humanity, we need to eliminate the possibility of climate change, which they believe, or starvation, global hunger or disease, which they believe is the result of too many people, and especially too many of the wrong kind of people.
Well, there was a scientist at the end of the 19th century in Great Britain called Malthus, and he believed
Thomas
that,
Malthus.
Exactly, he believed that if there were too many people on the planet, we would cease to exist as a species, and therefore you had to control the numbers. Well, if you're going to control the numbers, let's make sure the numbers that survive are the ones we pick.
fittest.
Sure, and
Yeah.
of course that was right at the heart of the Nazi eugenic movement.
Yes.
But as you say, it was also born. Hitler actually learned an awful lot from what we were doing in the U.S.
Well, in fact,
in
they-
selective breeding and so on.
The Nazis took their program from a model. They modeled it on the program that was in place in the state of California.
Right.
So it was. I mean, we Americans can look back at Hitler's Germany and with a sense of moral superiority. Well, we stopped Hitler. We inspired Hitler.
Right, that's right.
So let's get down off the high horse here.
And here's another thing that's very interesting about this. It has kind of an occultic undertone to it.
Yes.
There was a natural progress in Nazi Germany to go from we're going to selectively breed the Aryan super race, we're going to create the right kind of people, into another kind of occultism, which this program doesn't have enough time to go into all the bits and details of that, but the bottom line is, at the heart of it, it is Luciferian.
Yes.
It is an assault on God's creation. God made something, and God ordered that we're going to put barriers between the species, and each kind's going to reproduce only after its own kind. And then even in our own fallen state, Jesus came to the earth as a man. He could have came as a demigod, an ubermensch, Superman. He came as a man to redeem fallen humanity. So God has a method that brings us to this point where the transhumanists want to take us to, right? Yes. Transcendence, a moment when we're going to go beyond this weak flesh that we live in now, and we're going to become something that is eternal, and we're going to have eternal life, right? Ray Kurzweil was back in the news again this week, speaking as one of Google's executives. And what was he saying? We're going to inject nanobots into our systems and into our brain, and we are going to become godlike. We're going to get in touch with the divine, right? So there is an occultic aspect as well to what we're talking about here in this assault on on genetics, on creation.
Very much so. When we had Michael Heiser here just recently, he talked, and I think his programs are going to actually air after this, so hang in there. It'll be January, I think. But he was discussing with us how essentially sex magic was used in the ancient world to change your DNA. There's something metaphysical about DNA. Well, now we know there's something called epigenetics, and it's possible that there's a metagenetics that goes beyond what we can measure in a laboratory that can actually make changes in your DNA. I know that things we eat, you talked about it with Donna Howell and Joe Artis about how things that animals are now eating, where they're eating GMO corn over and over and over and over again, that's starting to change the DNA in the animal. If you think that just because you haven't lined up for some kind of a shot at a clinic, that you are exempt from this. It's too late. The genie is out of the bottle, and the things we're eating, the medicines we're taking are changing us.
Well, and of course, again, the movie INHUMAN, the documentary, and the book Dead Pets Don't Lie. We can only do so many programs.
Yes.
We only have so much time.
We've only got so much time, and so we're just kind of highlighting some of the major points around this. But the other point that I would want to make is to people viewing this program that are unfamiliar with these terms, especially people in most of the institutionalized aspects of the church. They're not being taught anything about transhumanism. I had a prophecy preacher not long ago tell me, well, God will never allow this to happen. God would never allow them to do experiments where humans and animals are being blended in the laboratory. And I looked at him and said, this is happening now in thousands of laboratories. It's in our military budgets. It's in DARPA's
Absolutely.
presidentially approved budget this year.
There are prophecies in the Bible that talk about the mingling of seed. Their seed will mingle with human seed. Who are they?
Right.
Yes.
And in fact, I think the Hebrew word there it's zera or vera, I forget, but it actually means progeny. And it raises this astonishing idea, right? That the devil can have progeny, can have seed. What in the world are we talking about?
Yes.
And yet, the further you get into transhumanism and the genetics revolution, and you realize that there is a point at which you could alter something that looks human, but its genetic makeup is not anything like what God breathed into and called something after his own image.
Right.
It's something entirely different. Well, now that sounds like the Nephilim. That sounds like what the Watchers did. And we find out if the legends around that are true, which do seem to be supported by the Old Testament, they could not be redeemed. Therefore, they didn't have a human soul. They didn't have a redeemable aspect. So in every way, we're talking about some very, very dangerous science here, not just in the sense of how it might risk our health, but supernaturally, spiritually, eternally. We're talking about something here that's outside the box.
Yes, and we'd like to make this available to you. As we'll show you in just a minute how you can get a copy of this new documentary film, INHUMAN, from Defender Films and Skywatch TV. It's a 3-hour film that delves deep into what it means to be transhuman and looks at it from pro and con. Tom and the investigative team went out and talked with a number of experts on both sides of the issue to give a rounded picture and to make sure that arguments on both sides were framed correctly. In other words, the opposing viewpoints were not misrepresented. We'll tell you more about that in just a moment. But as part of the package, Tom, I know that we're giving away some what we're calling mystery books as part of the package. Can you give us an example of what some of the books are as part of this package?
Yeah, because when a person watches the commercial, they're going to see the products that they're going to receive, which is such a huge pile of stuff.
Gigantic.
The biggest giveaway we've ever done.
You really are crazy, Tom.
I know. But by the way, the price of INHUMAN and Dead Pets Don't Lie, the retail is actually $45, and we're making that available for $39.95. So we're already discounting that. And then in addition to that, we're giving away $300+ worth of other products. So they're going to see the commercial about that in a moment. But there's this one part in the commercial where it says, and also we're going to give you 2 mystery books. So what people need to understand is the mystery books are simply from our overstock. I grabbed some of that as I was coming in. It could be this book, Survive the Unthinkable, A Total Guide to Women's Self-Protection. Here's another one of them that's out there in overstock right now, Jack Graham's Unseen.
Oh, that's a really good book.
Fabulous book, hardback book. Another one that's in the news this week, actually, Discovering the City of Sodom. And you might have saw where some of the most recent research, they think they have found remains from where the fire fell down from heaven. There's that book. The Disaster Survival Bible. There's some of these great big huge researcher library books that are also out there in overstock. The Septuagint, the Apocrypha, some of Steve Quayle's giant books. So the bottom line is when they see in the commercial where it says 2 mystery books, we can't tell you what those titles are going to be. They're going to be worth at least $40, but they could be worth significantly more than that, and that's coming out of overstock.
And you will not get to pick
You
what
don't get
mystery
to
book.
pick what the 2 mystery books are, but everything else will be described in the commercial. And then also very quickly, The Last Pope. This is a full-on documentary, was produced by WorldNet Daily Films. The Pope, as you know, has been in the news a lot. This goes really into the prophetic possibilities about what is happening in the Vatican, what's happening with this Pope. But we only have 3,000 of those to give away. So you're going to get $300 worth of product, but the first 3,000 people are also going to get the brand new documentary from WorldNet Daily Films. And so now we'll let you watch the commercial.
Coming exclusively from Skywatch TV for a very limited time starting November 17th, 2015. When you purchase the new documentary film INHUMAN and the companion book Dead Pets Don't Lie from Skywatch TV, you'll receive the largest giveaway in Skywatch TV history. An unprecedented $300 in free books, audio sets, and DVDs to add to your library or to give away as gifts during this holiday season. Included in this limited time giveaway are never before offered free audio sets. Over 30 hours of the most sought after interviews in history with global experts combined on a special 2-disc volume set discussing the unfolding genetic Armageddon now underway and what you need to know to survive the future. Featuring Something Transhumanism This Way Comes, The Coming Replacement Humans, The Days of Noah, The Coming Zombie Apocalypse, Conspiracy Theory, Psychotronic Warfare. Also, for a very limited time, in addition to the never-before-offered free best-selling audio sets, if you order before this special offer expires, you'll also receive the multi-part Skywatch TV special investigative report on INHUMAN the documentary and Dead Pets Don't Lie, the award-winning book Forbidden Gates, Pandemonium's Engine, the best-selling DVD by dog behavior expert Joe Artis, The Natural Dog Training Method. The breakthrough book for pet enthusiasts everywhere, Do Our Pets Go to Heaven? 2 additional mystery books with a $40 value. And if you're one of the first 3,000 customers to place your order during this limited time offer, you will also receive, absolutely free, the groundbreaking WorldNet Daily film The Last Pope featuring Tom Horn. Place your order beginning November 17th, 2015. Altogether, the never-before-offered free 6 full audio series on a 2-disc volume set plus the 5 free books and 2 additional DVDs total an astounding $300 giveaway to add to your library or to give away as gifts during this holiday season. So it's urgent that beginning November 17th, 2015, you order the new documentary film INHUMAN and the companion book Dead Pets Don't Lie for only $39.95 to also receive the largest giveaway in Skywatch TV history. But please understand this offer will end without notification and is on a first-come, first-served basis starting November 17th. So be sure to visit skywatchtv.com to follow the countdown to the greatest giveaway in Skywatch TV history. Order the new documentary film INHUMAN and the companion book Dead Pets Don't Lie for only $39.95 to also receive the largest giveaway in Skywatch TV history. Coming this November.
I'm not sure that the world is ready to receive this.
Tom Horn, Joe Artis, Donna Howell, and the Skywatch investigation team join a host of global experts in the conclusion of a multi-year undercover inquiry that exposes what the U.S. government, the FDA, and monster corporations have been hiding from you.
We're talking about everything from the food that we eat to animals and pet animals to ultimately humans. Literally, what we have been doing with genetically modified crops, what we have and are doing with transgenically made animals, we fully intend to do with the human race. I mean, how many people know right now that the last scientist in Congress, Bill Foster, recently spoke before Congress. He wrote an article for The Hill in which he says that right now the top science departments in our government that dole out taxpayer-funded revenue have already been ordered to literally create the guidelines that are going to be used for genetically modifying the human race.
I think 90% of Americans would be shocked if they learned that their cats and dogs were eating these diseased meats and euthanized pets. Euthanized pets.
During our investigation, we were able to verify that if your pet Fluffy had been euthanized at one of these vet clinics or one of these shelters, it would be recycled into food byproducts, toothpaste, cosmetics, deodorant.
The stench is overwhelming. It's unbelievable.
Coming in November, an unprecedented, official and imposing undercover report that exposes what government agencies and greedy corporations are hiding about a genetic menace that is slowly, quietly, secretly killing and transforming all of creation.
They have made a Faustian deal with the devil. I'm talking about our government. They have sold out the best interest of Americans to greedy monster corporations that are in their back pockets.
Coming this November exclusively from Skywatch TV. Dead Pets Don't Lie. Inhuman the documentary. Survive the future.
Welcome back to Skywatch TV, our special report, Genetic Armageddon, how science is transforming the nature of reality and maybe transforming what it means to be human. People watching us may get the sense that what we're describing is really just sort of a sci-fi fantasy from nerds who don't really have any influence in culture, technology, government, or anything like that. Why should Christians be concerned that this might be a reality?
Hey, Derek and Sharon, just because I knew I was going to be here today, I just went online and I just typed in a couple of keywords like CRISPR, which I want you to explain in a moment. Headline today from the Washington Post, DARPA handing out hundreds of millions to militarize living organisms for creating biological mayhem in countries not friendly to the United States. I mean, is that scary? This is the Washington Post, and they're saying that less than 1% of the budget is actually going to risk research to assess what the ramifications on the environment and humanity would be. Let me give you a couple more real quickly.
Okay.
Nature magazine, genetically modified humans debate must start now, say scientists. Here's a brand new article at Christianity Today talking about turning man into machine. The Pentagon's making huge biotechnological advances. Here's the San Francisco Chronicle. They are coming. Redesigned people. Radical human modification is coming. Are you ready? MTech, right? The famous research technology university. Get ready for a new human species now. I had to put 3 of these on one. Over at INF, DARPA rumored to be genetically modifying humans to create super soldiers. Here's another one. DARPA, and this is at Tech Times, DARPA investing $32 million into DNA manufacturing, super soldiers on the way. And then finally, The Atlantic, which is a very respected news magazine, engineering humans for war. So anybody that's watching this program and thinking that we're kind of just making this up or overinflating, there's no way to overinflate.
It's really hard to do because this is genuine science that, in fact, Doudna and Charpentier, who just are the ones who essentially discovered the CRISPR-Cas9 method.
Now explain that.
CRISPR is just clustered, regularly interspersed palindromic repeats.
Oh, now I know.
That's what it stands for. And it just means it's specific sequences in the DNA of E. coli, actually, that it was discovered by Doudna and Charpentier that this was a wonderful method for getting rid of genes that were inserted by viruses. So it's a defense mechanism. It's been adapted for humans using Cas9, which is an enzyme that cuts the DNA. Essentially, the CRISPR method has a collection of chemicals. One of these is a guide, actually it takes 2 guide RNAs that show exactly which little piece it needs to go to. So if this is DNA and this is DNA, then you got to have a little piece over here that matches. So that's the guide. So you go to the correct position on the correct chromosome. And then there's the enzyme, Cas9, that cuts both the strands, and then they can insert the gene, or they can just leave it cut.
So let me ask you a question. I'm a complete lay person, and you've helped me a lot on this, and I can imagine people watching this right now, and the ones out there that have degrees in science know everything you're talking about.
Maybe they're
then
probably
the guys
going,
like me
"I
are
don't know
going,
about
what? DNA and DNA. But essentially what you're saying is it's a way of kind of clipping and inserting new information.
It's like cut and paste.
Into your cutting and pasting into your
much.
DNA so that you can actually start re-engineering the genetic code. This can happen at the germline
It
level. so
can,
make
and that's called
permanent changes?
gene drive. They use the same method, but they actually go for any organism that reproduces sexually, got an ovum and a sperm. They will, you can go in a lab and you can, with a mosquito is where they're using it right now, because this is all over the place. Got to get rid of the mosquitoes in this major malaria area. So they make sure that progeny carry a defective gene. So they will slowly die out. This is a way to have your kids and grandkids forever inherit a new gene that's either inserted or altered. Now, there are different types of gene drive. One of those is called rogue drive, and that is intended to disrupt the species, disrupt the receiver of that new gene. In other words, it's biowarfare on steroids.
Wow.
Biowarfare at the germline
At
level.
the germline level.
That's genocide.
Because
Or
how do you,
specieside.
let me tell you how you get these things into the body, into the cell. You use an adenovirus.
An adenovirus is
An adenovirus is called
something that's very easily
It's the very
transmissible.
common virus.
This it's frightening because as we're talking about what we've discussed here, we're kind of talking about the Terminator scenario where we create these super soldiers that would be able to dominate us. We're also talking about something like the Stephen King novel, The Stand,
Very much
where
like
a
that.
biological weapon
That
spreads in the
presents
wild.
like the flu or the cold.
Right, but is able to do much more damage. But at the bottom line, and maybe we can do this in another program, that this is a 21st century religion. And while there are Christians who will say, you know, as your pastor friend said, the Lord will never allow this to happen. And that may be true, but it doesn't really matter. What matters is that there are well-meaning Christians, and we're starting to see some of this out there. There's a growing Christian Transhumanist Association. Right. There are other so-called religious transhumanists like the Mormons, and we can explain why this would appeal to Mormons, I suppose, as well, that are being drawn in to a belief system that teaches them that somehow we will achieve immortality, we will achieve godhood, or we will achieve God's prophetic purposes, our eschatological purposes, through technology.
Yeah, I noticed they're even using that term, eschatological.
Exactly. And so there's some real danger there, because if people are being drawn away from faith alone, in Christ alone, they're being drawn into a path that could lead to eternal damnation. And that is what we are warning about. That is why we feel so strongly about this. The new documentary, INHUMAN, from Defender Films and Skywatch TV, available beginning November 17th. And we hope you will get them, share them with your friends. There are many issues that face the world today, many that confront us as Christians today. This is a sea change in what it means to be human. God's creation redesigned. Thank you for watching as we keep watch. For Tom Horn and Sharon Gilbert, I'm Derek Gilbert, and this is Skywatch TV.